Welcome back to my principal interview series. If you have been following the series, we have already covered four important areas. Round one was general principal interview. Round two was NEP 2020 CBSE and compliance. Round three was real life crisis and difficult situations. And round four was finance, admissions, HR, management, expectations. And today, round five is about something that can make or break a school: people. Because a principal doesn't lead a school alone, you lead teachers. And this is where the real difficulty begins. What you do when your best teacher is disengaged? What if a senior teacher refuses to change? What if a popular teacher is underperforming? What if your strongest teacher wants to resign? What if a teacher challenges your authority in front of staff? And what if the teacher is actually right? These are not textbook questions. These are the situations that test whether you can actually lead people. So let's get practical. The 15 questions for round five. And question number one: your best teacher became disengaged. What will you do? What they are testing, whether you immediately blame the teacher or diagnose the reason. So, strong answer, I could say, I would not begin by asking, why aren't you performing? I would begin with a private conversation. I would want to understand whether the issue is workload, recognition, leadership, growth, role clarity, conflict, compensation, lack of autonomy, or simple burnout. But listening doesn't mean removing accountability. After understanding the issue, I would agree on clear expectations, support required, and a review timeline. My objective would be to retain the person's expertise while restoring the performance. So, main key line here is, before I label a senior teacher as disengaged, I want to understand what has disengaged them, right? Question number two: a senior teacher says, I have been teaching for 20 years. I don't need you to tell me how to teach. What will you do? Don't challenge them. Don't challenge them publicly, basically. Say, I respect your experience, but experience and continuous improvement are not opposites. I would have a private conversation, understand the concern, and connect the expected change to student outcomes and school expectations. I would not say, because I am principal, you have to do it. I would explain the why, define the expectation, and provide support. If the expectation is legitimate and school policy requires it, experience cannot become an exemption from accountability. So, key line here is, respect experience, don't create immunity from accountability. Question number three: a popular teacher is underperforming, but students and parents love them. What will you do? And this is fantastic interview question, I must tell you. Popularity cannot replace performance. I would separate the two. I would examine classroom observation, lesson planning, assessment quality, student progress, professional responsibilities, and feedback. If the teacher is genuinely underperforming, I would discuss it privately and create an important improvement plan. At the same time, I would identify what the teacher is doing exceptionally well and preserve that strength. Objective is not to remove the teacher's popularity, it is to bring performance up to the required standard. Question number four: a teacher refuses to follow a new school system and says, we have always done it this way. Your answer? I would first understand whether the resistance is because the system is impractical or simply because the person doesn't want to change. That distinction matters. If there is a genuine operational problem, I will review the system. But if the system is necessary and reasonable enough, I will explain the expectation, provide training, establish a timeline, and monitor implementation. I would never allow "we have always done it this way" to become the school's operating philosophy. Question number 5. Two senior teachers are constantly fighting and it is affecting the department. So you don't say, "I will call both and ask them to compromise." No. Say, "First, I would establish whether this is personality conflict, role conflict, workload issue, or professional disagreement. I would speak to each person separately before bringing them together. And then I would identify the actual issue, establish professional boundaries, and clarify responsibilities. If the conflict is affecting students or the team, it becomes a leadership issue, not a personal issue. I would document agreed actions and follow up, because solving the meeting is not the same as solving the conflict. I don't want temporary peace. I want functional working relationships. Question number 6. A teacher complains that the principal is favoring certain teachers. So I would not immediately defend myself. I would ask for specific examples. Then I would examine whether opportunities, duties, recognition, leave approvals, training, workload, and appraisals are being distributed fairly. Those are the main reasons only. Sometimes the perception of a favoritism is created because decisions aren't transparent. So I would work on both fairness and visibility of fairness. Question number 7. How would you conduct a meaningful mid-year appraisal? This should be one of the strongest sections. Mid-year appraisal should not be an annual appraisal done 6 months early, right? I would use it as a diagnostic conversation. I would discuss what is going well, where is performance falling short, what obstacles are affecting performance, what support does the teacher need, what are the measurable expectations for the next 6 months, and what does the teacher want to develop professionally. So, the most important question I may ask a disengaged senior teacher is, what is it making difficult for you to do your best work here? That question can reveal problems that a standard appraisal form will never do it. Question number 8. A teacher performs well academically but has poor behavior with colleagues. Performance is multidimensional. A teacher cannot say, "My results are good, therefore my behavior doesn't matter." I would document specific behavior, discuss the impact, and establish expectations. I would also give the teacher an opportunity to explain their perspective. If the behavior continues, I would follow the school's disciplinary and HR process, because good results do not give anyone permission to damage the workplace. Question number 9. Your best teacher receives another job offer. What will you do? This is where you should avoid saying, "I will immediately increase salary." No. I would first ask why the person is considering leaving. Is it salary, career growth, recognition, workload, leadership, autonomy, culture, location? And then I would assess whether the school can reasonably address the concern. If we can retain the teacher without compromising fairness or policy, I would make a genuine retention effort. But I would never make an irresponsible counter offer simply because I am afraid of losing someone, right? Retention should be strategic, not desperate. Question number 10. A teacher says, "Nobody appreciates what I do." So, again, I would listen, but I would also ask for evidence. Recognition should not become a popularity contest. I would examine whether good work is actually being noticed, whether feedback is regular, and whether recognition mechanisms are transparent. Sometimes teachers don't need a certificate, they need their principal to notice their work. That costs nothing, but it matters enormously. Question number 11. A teacher is good but constantly complains and negatively influences other teachers. Complaining and raising genuine concerns are not the same thing. I would first identify whether the complaints are legitimate. If there is a genuine systematic issue, I will fix it. I should fix it. But if the behavior is repeatedly creating negativity without contributing to solutions, I would address it directly. I would tell the teacher, you have every right to raise a concern. But once the concern has been heard, I also expect you to contribute to the solution. That's professional accountability. Question number 12. A teacher refuses to accept the feedback. Feedback is only useful when there is psychological safety and evidence. So I would make the feedback specific. Not your teaching isn't good. Instead, I would say, here is what I observed, here is the impact, here is the expected standard. What do you think is preventing you from reaching this? Then I would agree on an important improvement action and review it. If the resistance continues despite repeated evidence and support, then it becomes a performance management issue. Question number 13. A senior teacher is underperforming, but management wants immediate termination. This is where your practical leadership voice should come out. I would not protect poor performance simply because the teacher is senior, but I also would not terminate someone simply because management is frustrated. I would establish the facts. Is there documented underperformance? Has feedback been given? Was support provided? Were expectations clear? Was reasonable opportunity given for improvement? What does the employment policy and applicable process require? Then I would advise management based on evidence and due process. A principal must be able to say yes to accountability and no to impulsive decisions. Question number 14. How do you retain experienced teachers without creating a culture where they feel entitled? So, this is the signature question, by separating respect from entitlement. Experienced teachers deserve respect for their contribution, but every employee must continue to meet professional expectations. I would offer experienced teachers opportunities to mentor younger teachers, lead academic initiatives, contribute to curriculum development, and share institutional knowledge. Give them meaning, ownership, and legacy, but keep the same professional standards. The message should be, your experience is valuable here, and we want you to use it to build the next generation. Now, question number 15. What is your philosophy of teacher accountability? This should be your closing and strong answer. My philosophy is simple: clarity before accountability, support before judgment, evidence before criticism, consistency before consequences. A teacher cannot be held accountable for an expectation that was never clearly communicated or briefed. So I would establish clear KRAs, provide resources and training, monitor performance and give regular feedback, very important, and recognize improvement. But after reasonable support, accountability must follow, because a school cannot become excellent by protecting people from accountability, and it cannot become healthy by treating every performance problem as a disciplinary problem. The principal has to know the difference in these two. Let me leave you with this. A principal's job is not to keep every teacher happy, and it is certainly not to keep every teacher afraid. The principal's job is to create a professional environment where good teachers can do their best work. Struggling teachers receive support, high performers are recognized, and everyone understands the standard. Because when good teachers leave, don't immediately ask why did they leave. Ask what did our system fail to notice before they decided to leave. That is leadership. And that is the real purpose of a meaningful appraisal, meaningful accountability, and also meaningful retention strategy. This was round 5 of the principal interview series. If you want round 6, comment round 6. And this time we are going to go into another area that every principal eventually faces: parents, student complaints, social media, reputation, and the politics of the school community. Because running a school is not just about what happens inside the classroom, it's about managing the entire ecosystem. Keep learning, keep leading, and keep building better schools. See you in another video. Take care.